This is the first peptide that has been validated to reduce, the aged cells in the skin and also to reverse the biological age of the skin.
We have this chronological age, that's the age determined by the year that we were born.
Right.
But depending on our lifestyle choices, like each organ of our body can be aging in different speeds.
So the skin around your eyes ages 20 or 30 years older than the other skin, like than your cheekbones, than your chin, than your wow.
Yeah.
Today's podcast, we have two beautiful Brazilian ladies who are not just beautiful but super smart, and they're going to tell us all about this extraordinary product ingredient that they basically founded that truly does help reverse aging. And this is the whole purpose of why we're doing this podcast, you guys, is because again, like these are all very like hashtag friendly trending things, like the word longevity, anti-aging, like how do we stay, how do we live for forever basically, and how do we look like we are 30 when we're like 80. And so when I find something that is revolutionary and that really does work in terms of helping you with your skin, your anti-aging, whatever it might be, I want to really kind of promote it and really kind of expose it and give it some awareness. So these lovely ladies created something called OneSkin. OneSkin is a brand, and I wouldn't call it just a skincare, it's skin health. Yeah. And right, would you say skin health?
Yeah, we actually say skin longevity.
Skin longevity. Yeah. And we're gonna get into it. And what it does is basically is reversing the signs of aging from a molecular level. So it works. And that's why I'm like, you guys have to come on this podcast. I want you guys to talk about your story. They're also they're very entrepreneurial and they're doing something so revolutionary. And so I'm very happy to have them on. So the first one is Carolina, and her partner in crime, there's actually four, but I only have two, is Alessandra, right? Yes. And I want to talk about your backgrounds, but thank you very much for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having us, Jen.
Yes.
Absolutely. So let's start with you, Carolina. What is your background? How did you guys even become, you guys are obviously good friends, best friends. You can tell there's much more of a bond than just like, I work with each other, we work with each other. Can you kind of just tell us the origin story of who you both are, what your backgrounds are, and how you even, came up with the idea of developing this whole line?
Yeah, sure. So we are both, as you said, originally from Brazil. We met in 2009 when we were doing our master's and PhD in the same lab. And so I got a PhD in stem cell biology and tissue engineering. I was always...
what does that even mean? In stem cell biology and tissue? I didn't even know there was a PhD in that.
Yeah, so basically what we were doing at that time, we were replicating human tissues in the lab in order to develop new therapies, new treatments. So my PhD, for example, was focused on this disease called macular degeneration. So I was replicating retina cells derived from stem cells. So stem cells is a type of cell that can generate any kind of cells in our body. So I was basically generating retina cells from stem cells in order to use them for transplantation in humans. This was still in the research side, but potentially could become like a therapy to treat this disease that's macular degeneration. And Alessandra was studying skin regeneration.
Yeah, I was already very interested especially on wound healing, how we can promote a better wound healing. So I dedicated my PhD on replicating skins in the lab, using stem cells at that time to help maximize the wound healing in big, large burns and big wounds.
Wow. Okay. And how long is that program? You guys look like you're 12. The product works because you guys look so young. I mean, how old are you guys?
I'm 37.
Okay,
and I'm 36.
Wow. Okay. And so how long were these? So you say PhD. So how long were you in school for?
So the PhD in Brazil is 4 years. We did masters before. That's an additional 2 years. So we were studying at least 6 years before we started to translate the science that we were doing in academia to create something out of it. Basically, our first entrepreneur project back in Brazil in 2014. And then eventually in 2016, we got the opportunity to come to the US to join a biotech accelerator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so basically the first project that we started in Brazil didn't work out. We learned a lot, but we saw that we needed to be in a place that would really support like innovation and disruptive technologies. And San Francisco was the best place to be. So we applied to this accelerator called IndieBio, and IndieBio was really...
What was it called?
IndieBio.
IndieBio? Okay, yeah.
And IndieBio is very special because it's the main accelerator that's focused on biotech. So they help scientists like us to become entrepreneurs because we, in academia, we don't know anything how to start a company. We love the science that we're doing. Like, okay, I want to translate this science. I want to help people. But how I do that? And then IndieBio basically help you basically to tailor your ideas and find what we call like product market fit, right? Like you have so much that you can do, but how you can combine one specific like science or technology with a very clear need or demand in the market.
Right.
Yeah. So I moved here in 2016, and initially the goal was to grow human skins in the lab to replace animal testing. So at that point we were already like focusing on growing tissues in the lab, primarily skin, and we want to help basically substitute like animal experimentation, so for cosmetic kind of,
So you wanted to kind of take away that element of like
exactly.
animal testing. Did you guys move together? Because you said you moved.
I moved first, and Alessandra joined me 1 year later.
So at this point, when you moved to the U.S., to San Francisco, this wasn't even an idea. It wasn't even a concept. You were here doing something totally different, and then you moved out. You moved here basically to do the same thing she was doing, right? Helping with like eliminating
with the
animal testing
first.
Yeah.
So when we started and Carol started here, we had no idea that we would end having a product. Like we were scientists, and we wanted like to continue doing research and kind of like developing something that has an outcome from our research and the knowledge that we got together, like from our PhDs and even like postdocs, things that we studied before.
Makes sense.
So in the beginning, we were like scientists researching how we can understand like the aging process of the skin and replicate this in the lab to really validate if products in the market, they are actually promoting skin rejuvenation or not.
Right. So then how did you, what was kind of your findings? Like who said, like, how did it come to be that you're like, hey, I want to create this skin care line, or I want to find this, like their big ingredient is called OS01, which is like a peptide that you own the patent on.
Yes.
Yeah. And just by the way, like even before we started this podcast, I asked you, I'm like, do you guys sell that particular ingredient to other people? Because other people I know asked me to ask you because it is very effective, right?
Yeah.
And you guys were able to get the patent? Is it patent pending? Is it?
It's already approved in a few countries in the UK, and is in the last stages of approval here in the US.
And how did this whole happen? So tell me how it happened. So now you're both in the US. Okay. Yeah. And you guys are doing your stuff like with your other business.
Basically, we're inside the lab. We are doing research. We are scientists every day going to the lab and like understanding what's changing when a skin is young versus an old skin.
Yeah.
And when I put a product on top of this old skin, what happens to the skin? Which markers like changes? This skin produce more collagen? Yes or no? This skin like reduces inflammation? Yes or no? This skin, like the markers of aging, the biological age of the skin is being changed or not? So this is what we were doing like on our first years, the 2 first years of OneSkin. And then we soon realized that most of the products out there, and this is a crowded market, there is so many products every day being launched, like the marketing is so strong on like, this is science-backed, this has like this potential. And we were testing, and one like in the very beginning, like very expensive products we took to the lab. And when we saw the results, we were like, okay, I was doing the experiments. I was like, I think I did something wrong because the skin looks worse than before the treatment.
No way.
Yeah.
And I was like, Carol, look at this, like, and we analyzed the data, and I like, okay, let me repeat some more times. And I repeated over and over, the result was the same. And we were like, oh, this was supposed to be our gold standard.
Yeah.
No way,
like,
stop it.
Yes.
So you were testing...
Like a best-selling, very expensive anti-aging product. Okay, this is known to be like, you know, the anti-aging product. And then we applied it to the skin, and the skin starts basically to degenerate. the formula was so bad that the skin cells started really to change the morphology, and like they were dying. Yeah. And then we looked at each other like, this is really bad. And then we were seeing like there are so many products out there, but none of them is really targeting aging. Like they are, you know, trying to make your skin to look better, maybe look better in the short term, but in the long term can be like compromising your skin health. So that's when we saw, okay, the main ingredient in the anti-aging industry is retinol. Retinol was not developed like to target aging itself. It does have some anti-aging effects that we can talk about that, but also has some side effects, as we also know. And then we have all these other products that are claiming to be anti-aging, and they are actually like causing more damage than good.
Like what? Tell me.
Well, we don't like to share like the brands, but
why? I want to know. Can you? I mean, I want to know what brands, because to me, I'm gonna guess. You could don't say yes or no, but everyone loves. Oh my God, it's like so expensive. Oh God, oh my God, it got bought by a big company.
No, it is a big
La Mer?
company.
Is it La Mer? Did you test La Mer?
We already test most of like the products out there. Like,
I see your face. Okay, so that's interesting. So I'm going to say it's going to be La Mer, but or whatever it is, because what I find this is exactly why I want you guys on, because it is such a crowded market, and people don't know what they don't know. And marketing, like if you have a huge budget to spend, you know, you can make false claims all day. How many people are going to go and take it to a lab and like check out and test it and see what actually works, what doesn't work? And the reality is like the majority of the stuff is garbage and nonsense. Yeah. And so that's why when I like met you, when I met this product, met you guys, whatever, I was like, this is actually something that is changing, that is an ingredient that when I'm telling you, other brands and other people are like, hey, can I license that product and make my own? You know there's something backing it. So you're saying that also, which is I find very interesting, Carolina, that not only can these other products, this is what I want people to know, don't work, they actually can be doing additional damage to your skin. That's what I find interesting.
And one like hint that we can give is like, check the list of the ingredients of some of these products and go to a website like EWG, I don't know if you're familiar, and you're gonna see the rank of those ingredients. If they're like on the red, you know, side, and they're really toxic, we can clearly see a correlation in the lab. Like when the list of ingredients is really bad, the skin will be affected, they'll be damaged. And when the product has like more clean and safe and more efficacious ingredients, then we see the opposite. So the skin reacts really, you know, well to those ingredients, and we can really see this correlation. So that's one, you know, hint that we give to our customers or to anyone out there. Like if you're in doubt of the product that you are using, check the list of ingredients and see what's the score, because you guys don't have like the tool that we have that's really like seeing how the skin reacts, and you know, we can see the levels of inflammation, we can see the levels of like genes related to aging, and it's pretty interesting. Those levels go up when they should go down, and it's just like a little bit surprising. And
it is surprising. Tell me about retinol though. You're going to say that retinol, because everybody uses that's like the OG, like everyone thinks that that's like the answer, the panacea to anti-aging.
Yeah, so basically how retinol works is inducing like cell renewal, right? So it's gonna cause a little bit of a burning to your skin. So it removes like the upper layers of your skin. You're growing like a newer, a fresher skin. not necessarily a younger skin, but you are inducing like that cell renew. In this process, when we test in the lab, and Alessandra has like beautiful histologies that we can see like the upper layers coming up, we see that unfortunately a lot of the genes related to inflammation and aging goes up. So this could be like temporary in terms of there is an acute phase of the retinol when your skin is like reacting to it. But obviously we also know that retinol works by causing some damage, right? It basically insults your skin, so your skin will react and it will be like, you know, kind of fresher. It does induce collagen production, so there is this, you know, benefit, but comes with, you know, the potential side effect of like inflammation, redness, and all the peeling that who uses retinol knows. I was using retinol for years, first like to treat acne, that I had a lot of acne when I was younger, and then for its anti-aging effects, until we tested in the lab and I was like, okay, this is supposed to be anti-aging, this is inducing aging, I'm gonna stop using this.
Wow, and how long does it take for those induction of aging to take place?
It's really
right away?
24 hours,
It's
the
24
first
hours.
use.
Yeah, so it could be that if you use retinol today and you stop like tomorrow, if you know, alternate like 2 or 3 days a week, that those genes can go down. So it could be that you can find a way that you combine retinol in your routine, that you are not always causing too much damage and you get like the best of it. But if you use consistently and if you're always like causing this, you know, making your skin more like susceptible, because you're basically removing your skin barrier, right? When you're removing the upper layers, your skin is kind of naked for, you know, a little bit, and then it will regrow that skin barrier. So usually our recommendation, either like you use like in a very sparse way, or if you are sensitive and you can't tolerate retinol, you can find other options like OneSkin that can do the same or better without the side effects.
Yeah. What we see, it's kind of like the retinol can improve the appearance of the skin, but it actually like the aging process that's occurring on your skin, this is not being changed.
So that's what I don't understand. If it looks younger, why? But how can it look younger?
It's just the surface.
Because it's on the surface.
Yeah. Have you seen people that done a lot of treatment and you feel that their skin's like thin and a little? It's very like kind of. It could be like wrinkle free, but the skin is not healthy. Internally, it's not younger. You know.
So does that? So I guess my question to you is, if it looks healthy. That's like looking
it looks like younger, not necessarily healthy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is kind of the same analogy as like you can look fit and strong, but really be unhealthy inside. Like you can have like lots of different ailments and sicknesses or whatever.
Yeah.
But you may look thin and you may look like you're muscular.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. But then does it catch up with you eventually? Is that what happens? Like you can only look young for so long? Because I'll take it if that's the case. I mean, if it's going to like make me look good, I'll do it. I mean, I'm going to put retinol on my...
Yeah, if you can look younger and be younger biologically, that's like the goal.
Yes,
right?
that's the gold standard.
And this is what started to happen. Like we started doing this research, testing products, seeing what was happening and realizing that they were not targeting what's causing the aging process of the skin. And because we came from this background of science and research, we were like aware of like what's causing skin aging, and not only skin aging, what causes aging on our whole body. So understanding
what is it? Tell me.
that,
I want to know.
So there are like actually 12 hallmarks of aging, 12 changes that happens in the cellular and the molecular level of our body that makes the deterioration of each tissue, and we start like declining like the good aspect of our body or the functionality of our tissues with time.
So wait a second. So at what age does our skin start to decline in health and aging? Like when does it actually start to age?
From a molecular perspective, we see a huge shift around the age of 30.
Yeah.
30.
Yeah, but this is basically a result of damage that has been accumulated like over like
30 years.
And
30
this
years.
depends on a lot of the lifestyle. And it depends on the lifestyle. Some people can get this like a little bit earlier. But there is an average if we look like to the DNA of like skin samples from very young to old. There is this shift around 30 years old.
So then, so that's my first question. The second question is just in terms of when you say skin health, right? The health of the skin versus the way it looks. It can look healthy but not be healthy.
Yeah.
Tell me what that means. Does that mean that you can tell me what that means?
So, I mean, the skin is our largest organ.
Yeah.
It's in contact with our whole body.
Yeah.
So it has a very like important function to protect our body from the external aggressors. So it's really a barrier that avoids that pollution, that microorganism and UV light penetrates and damages the inside of our body. If the skin starts to be too fragile, you are like increasing the inflammation that's occurring on the skin. So with aging, like if you're accumulating damage on your skin, on your whole body, and increasing this inflammation level on the skin, because it's the largest organ of your body, you can actually be contributing to excess of inflammation inside your body.
So that to me is it makes perfect sense, right? Like to me, it's common sense. If your skin is your biggest organ of your body, right? And it's it penetrates into everything else inside. Why has nobody ever spoken about skin health being as important as it really is? Like they're worrying about like the minutia of things, but like at the end of the day, like whatever you're putting on your skin goes, and it's such a thin layer that's protecting. It just goes right into your dermis, right? And it gives you.
Not everything goes right in because it forms a barrier for. It's a physical barrier, so it protects of most things that can't get into your skin. So very small molecules can get in. For example, the peptide that we have, we can see that it penetrates. But some bad ingredients can also get in. But we needed to be careful with that. For example, with the retinol, if you are exfoliating or if you're exposing your skin, then you lose your barrier, and then more things can get into your skin. So your skin is
irritative and more your skin.
Okay.
That makes sense.
It makes sense. And then, because I wanted to ask you about reversing whatever damage. Like I have tons of sun damage. Can you reverse the sun damage with the product?
Yes. We have data showing, Alessandra did this experiment.
Yeah. So what's causing like also damage, and especially UV light, when it's you expose your skin to excess of UV light, you damage cells that become so damaged that they don't proliferate anymore, but they start secreting inflammation on your skin. This is the damage on the skin, and these cells, they're known scientifically as senescent cells, or like senescent cells, or I can say zombie cells. So are cells that are damaged that should like be gone red on our, like eliminated from our body, but they continue there and they accumulate this damage. So sun makes a lot of that.
Okay, so why don't they leave?
So like, usually they leave when we are young, like when we are in our 20s, like our immune system is very good on eliminating those damages.
Okay,
they clear them up.
They clear them up. But with time, and if your immune system is not as healthy anymore, you start like not being able to eliminate those cells as well as when you are young. So they stick there, they accumulate, and what they are secreting, like it's contributing to more deterioration of the tissue. On the skin, for instance, is contributing to breakdown of the collagen. It's not like it's diminishing the replacement of the epidermal layer. So the renewal of the epidermal layer and cause inflammation on the tissue. And
leading eventually to sagging, fine lines and wrinkles. So if we can recap, like we have been studying one of the main processes that leads to aging, that's the accumulation of those damaged, also called senescent cells. Those zombie cells, they build up in our tissues as we grow older, and the accumulation of those cells is associated with several age-related diseases, and in the skin is associated with the signs of skin aging.
Like what?
like wrinkles.
No, the other, you said diseases. What other diseases?
If they accumulate in your heart, cardiovascular disease. If they accumulate in your brain, Alzheimer's, Parkinson. So those damaged cells, it's a common process that's happening in our tissue because those cells are entering the end of the cycle of like their
reproduction.
Reproduction.
So you're saying that, how do you pronounce it? Senescent cells?
Senescent cells. Senescent.
That's with the accent. It's hard. Say it one more time.
Senescent.
Senescent cells.
Yeah.
So you can have senescent cells on your skin or in your heart or in your brain. So it's on your joints. Yeah. So it's not only for skin. It's not just for the skin. No. But your product obviously is focusing on the senescent cells for the skin.
Yeah.
Okay, so then walk me through, how did this happen then? So that you're doing all these testing in the labs and you're noticing what's going on with people's with the skin that you're testing for.
And then we are noticing that the aged skins, the more they are like older, the more accumulation of markers related to the senescent cells we have.
Got it. Okay.
So after realizing that and seeing that products are not targeting those senescent cells, we started like looking for molecules that would specifically reduce the accumulation of these senescent cells in the skin.
Okay.
So we start like screening peptides because are biological molecules that can have an activity on our tissues. And we start looking like really like you have in the lab a lot of different spots with skin cells.
Yeah.
We put one peptide in each and then we look, okay, we're able to count the number of senescent versus non-senescent cells.
Oh,
so I can understand, okay, this peptide increases senescence or decreases senescence, is toxic or not. And doing this, we did this in total in over 900 peptides. And we found this one that we called OS1 peptide that was really like very safely reducing the accumulation of the senescent cells in the skin without causing like any side effects.
Oh, wow. So you tested 900 peptides.
Yeah.
And this is the one peptide that performed the best.
Yeah.
So just how did you find it? How did you know to even look there? I mean, because before you guys, was this a known peptide that other people were using somewhere else that had the, like, so how did you even know where to, like, how did you even find in the first place?
Yeah, so we started testing antimicrobial peptides. This was in collaboration with a researcher in Brazil.
Okay.
So he had like a library that's basically a sequence of 200 different peptides. Yeah. We tested those 200 and we got like 4 peptides that performed really well. From these 4 peptides, we created 800. So basically we made like modifications on the sequence of the amino acids. And then we generated like a new library of peptides. And then we tested again because we want to optimize the efficacy.
Okay.
So after the second screening, we landed on OS1. And OS1 showed like the best effect of reducing up to 50% the amount of senescent cells in the skin. And what happens is if you have like fewer senescent cells, you allow the healthy skin cells to proliferate. So imagine that you are removing what's driving age in your skin, and then the skin cells that are healthy, they can proliferate, they can produce more collagen, and causes this rejuvenation effect like from the inside out, because you don't have those, pesky cells that were like really causing the trouble and secreting inflammation and collagen degradation and so on. So,
but why is it that a peptide would have any type of patent? Like, why wouldn't it be available to everybody?
Yeah, because this is a novel peptide. Once we generated like this new library, basically we created like new sequences of peptides that never existed.
So it's the way you sequenced it together that makes it special.
Yeah.
So if I was someone who wanted to just make my own line of anti-aging skincare products, right, and I found OS1, would it be a different formulation than what you guys sequenced together?
Well, if you get to the same sequence, you can't use, because that sequence is already patented. Because we were the first one to discover that sequence.
Oh, then that's okay. So you were the first to discover this particular sequence,
and then
which is why people can't use it.
And for the application for the skin.
Yeah, for the application. Then we validated that this peptide can reduce the accumulation of senescent cells So therefore, for this specific use only OneSkin can, it's
use
allowed
it.
to use it.
Can someone else use it, let's say, for the cardiovascular? Can they use it for the joints in your knee, like you were saying? Can they use it for wherever? I don't know, name something, your brain. Like, you don't have the patent on those, right?
Not specifically on those conditions, but in order to patent, you need to have data. So you need to basically, prove that it works for other conditions as well.
So this is like a miracle in a way for skin, though.
Yeah, this is the first peptide that has been validated to reduce, the aged cells in the skin, and also to reverse the biological age of the skin. That really makes the skin to behave like younger skin.
Yeah, what does that mean? You keep on saying that, like it reversed the biological age. Yeah. So what does that mean? Like, if I'm 39, would I then look 32, or like what happens? Do I like Benjamin Button? Do I get younger and younger looking as I go, or like what happens?
We have this chronological age. That's the age determined by the year that we were born.
Right.
But depending on our lifestyle choices, like each organ of our body can be aging in different speeds. Like someone at the same chronological age, born in the same year, because one is very exposed to sun damage, one smoke, one have very bad habits. Yeah, the skin can look like
much older,
and there are tools that you can measure this biological age. That's the
telomeres.
It's not using the telomeres, but reading the DNA, like it's on the DNA level. Yeah.
Oh, what's it called?
Is the epigenetic profile of the so it's basically the DNA methylation.
Got it.
And then we can measure these methylations on the DNA, and this can tell us the biological age, meaning like how this tissue is functioning. So I can be 36 years old and my skin can either be functioning younger, the same age, or older than mine.
Yeah.
So this tool of measuring like the function of the age function of your skin, we were able to see that when you treat the skin with the OS1 peptide, we can like reverse this biological age of the skin.
By how much can you reverse the age by? So
the test that we have done in the lab, we reversed 2.5 years on a skin that was 72 years old.
That was 72. So I would look 70 versus 72.
But this is in the lab, and it was a treatment over 5 days. Yeah. So it's a very, specific kind of condition. We are running this study right now in humans. Yeah. So we have like participants using the product for 6 months, and then we need to collect biopsies. And from the first study that we did, we have an indication that we can reverse 3.3 years after 12 months. Yeah. So and this was a very small study with only 11 participants. So now we are repeating this study with 35 participants. So we hope to see age reversal in 6 months. We don't know for how many years, but this is coming up soon. But at least we showed already a trend. We can, in the lab, we showed that we can reduce. That's good. Now we showed in humans in 12 months. We want to see how earlier we can actually validate that we can measure this age reversal.
Wow. So this OS1 peptide, how is it different? In the longevity space, biohacking space, peptides are it's super popular, right? You have a ton for inflammation. You have BPC 157. You have all these things, right? For weight loss, is it technically? Is a peptide is it just basically, instead of injecting it for whatever it is, it's in the form of a cream basically? Yeah. Or because some people take it under the they have a tab.
In our case, because we want to address skin aging, we formulated the peptide in a topical formula. And the first question that we made was can this peptide penetrate the skin? Because if it can't penetrate the skin barrier, it won't function. So we did this experiment in the lab. We actually can apply the cream on top of ex vivo skin, pieces of human skin that we can culture in the lab, and then we can see how much goes into the dermal layer. Dermal layer is the inner layer of the skin. So we could validate that the peptide reached the derms, And that's why this is the first peptide that's being applied on the skin to address, you know, the accumulation of senescent cells, and it's able to reverse the skin.
And anytime that you either inject or take some peptide, when you put it inside your body, this goes to the bloodstream, and it can get to any place inside your body.
If it doesn't get digested in your stomach.
Yeah,
right?
And a lot of times if you take a pill, you don't even digest it anyway, depending on your gut health.
Yeah.
That's a whole
It
other,
depends if
it's a
it
whole
will be
other question.
absorbed or not.
Digestive system is a whole other thing.
Our goal for skin, and if you apply directly on the skin, you can apply topically, deliver specifically there. We can guarantee that the peptide is acting where we want to act.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not losing peptides to other parts of your body. You're not just like going over your digest system. So we are like guaranteeing that the skin is receiving this peptide.
Amazing. So what have been with people who have been buying the product or using the product, what has been what was their feedback? Like besides me saying I like it, what has other people said that you know, that you talk to, that's been customers and all that other stuff?
Well, we receive all kinds of you know, reviews. Most people see improvement in the texture, in the overall appearance. The skin looks plumper. You decrease like fine lines, wrinkles. People see an improvement in the skin health. So people that usually have like a more reactive skin or more inflamed redness, we can decrease that because your skin is becoming healthier. We are reducing inflammation. We are, you know, basically making your skin more resilient to deal with like the day-to-day damage that we are exposing every day. So we see a lot of you know, feedback in terms of people that have some kind of, you know, rashes, and now they don't have anymore because basically your skin is in a healthier state. It's
also clean, right? There's no parabens and anything like that. Like, but everything. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, and one other comment that we see a lot, because we are on this approach of treat not only your skin of your face, that like a lot of people are already aware they want to treat because they want to look better, like younger, but treat the whole body. And then we get a lot of like people that are already like, okay, I can use like short sleeves again because like I have less crepiness on my skin.
Right.
I have less rashes and irritation and itching. So every time we receive like a review like that really like changes like how the person is feeling.
Totally.
It's really like we get
it's really impacting their quality of life.
It is. In fact, again, it's like kind of those things, common sense, like the fact that you guys made a body cream, not just a face cream, because if it works on your face to reverse aging, of course, like people also age on their neckline or their arms or their legs or whatever, like it makes sense. And like to show you, like, I mean, if you're just listening, I actually brought down my own because it's half full. So if you're looking at it, that's why. But everything says prep. So does everything have to work? Because the products that I have here that I've been using is the skin, like the wash, which you call OneSkin prep. And then you have the eye cream, and then you have the moisturizer, which is called the face, but you call it topical supplement. So, I mean, can you use one without using everything else and it's still effective? Like, what, do you have to use the whole system?
So every single product was developed with a clear intention. So the face was the first one. Obviously, we want to treat our face and, you know, neck and hands. Then we want to treat the whole body. So if you care about your whole skin health, we developed this body product for that purpose. So the prep is to cleanse your skin, so prepares your skin to absorb better the face product. And finally, we developed the eye product because we were studying the differences in terms of the skin on your face and the skin around your eyes. And we noticed, and by studying the different, you know, structure of the skin, that the skin around your eyes is much thinner. It ages faster, and actually the biological age around under your eyes or above your eyes compared to your cheeks or temple is around like 20 to 30 years older.
It's shocking. I mean, we see in the mirror that like it's the first part that wrinkles, but seeing the data that like it's actually behaving as 20 years older, that was like wow.
Wow. So the skin around your eyes
Yeah.
ages 20 or 30 years older than the other skin, like
and
than your
face.
cheekbones, than your
Yeah.
chin, than your
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. So knowing that, we thought, okay, we needed to develop a more potent formula that has a higher concentration of the peptide, and then we added like other actives that really helps, you know, the firmness and the elasticity of the skin around your eyes. So that's why we created the eye product. That was the most recent launch that we had this year. And the clinical data, because every single product we run a clinical study, meaning that another, you know, set of professionals will test this in people, and they will validate the improvements in the skin, both like through instrument analysis, but also through images. And the data from the eye clinic, the eye product was like the strongest one, because it's a more potent formula. Yeah.
Okay, so enough of this cream and the skin health. I'm curious now, like the two of you. So you guys, like, you moved here to, and then you guys were figuring this out. So in your research and all of that, you realized you have this great idea. So did you guys partner together and call, like, how did you build a business if you're two scientists with two other scientists back home in Brazil? How did you build an entire business without having you had the accelerator, right?
Yeah.
So did they help you raise money? Like, what was the process to make this actually a legit business, not just a product? That, you know.
So at the accelerator, they give you like a small funding that you need basically to survive until either you get to sell your product or to raise more funding. So once we decided to embark on this journey of like finding new molecules to actually reverse aging, we got the attention of some investors. So we got some additional funding, and then we spent.
Who was it? Who was your fund? Who was your?
Initially, were some investors from Brazil.
Like angel investors?
Yeah, more angel investors, and they were interested in longevity. And they were interested in the science that we were doing. And the only thing that they knew is that we wanted to find a molecule that could actually reverse aging. We didn't know if we would create a product or a brand. So it took us around 4 years to get to this peptide and to do all the studies and the validation and to really show, okay, this peptide is different from any other molecule in the market. We have something special here. So should we develop a product? Should we license this?
Right.
And then eventually we saw that, you know, the path of like developing a brand and bringing a product to the market was more challenging.
But was new, but was exciting.
Well, that was what I was going to say. Like, if you guys did the other route, which was, like I said, like just licensing it out, it's a way easier business model than building a brand.
Then it's done. Like, we license what the company
will
do. And now what? And like, will they sell a product? Will the product will be good? Will people like it? We got so excited about the idea of like bringing this to customers. As Carol mentioned in the beginning, we coincidentally we all like joined like researching and doing science as our background, because we kind of had this dream of one day translating the science into something. So when we got to that point was when we realized, okay, we can make our dream come true. Like, we can bring, we don't know how we will do this. It's a huge challenge, but we can finally like transform all this knowledge that we have been accumulating, all this science, into a product, and people will use that.
It takes a lot though, like to build a brand.
It takes a lot.
And to like, and also when you're developing a line of skincare, it's a biotech company, you know, like it's a biotech company. That takes a lot of investment and funds. So how much did you guys initially raise that we were able to?
Before we launched, I mean, by the time that we launched the brand, so mostly invested on science, we raised like 7 million. And then after that, we raised an additional 13 million. So up to date, we raised additional 6 million, so up to date 13 million.
That's all you've raised? Okay, I mean, that's a lot, by the way. That's a lot of money to raise.
I mean, for biotech, it's not a lot. For like a consumer brand, is a lot, because most consumer brands don't have a lot of science behind, but it really speaks to the amount of like investment that we put into the science.
Absolutely. Well, interesting. I was going to say, for, you know, a science-backed company, that's not a lot. but in terms of the fact that you guys raise that kind of money,
Yeah.
that is a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like, are people buying it? Like, how are sales? Like, are people finding out about it? Are people catching on? Like, what is the? I'm curious. Like, I know my experience.
Yeah.
I'm not. I basically am in my own silo of my friends and people I know in my world. But outside, like, are people finding out about it on their own? Like, how are you promoting it?
Yeah, I mean, we since the beginning we were always like present in the longevity community. So we got to connect with people that are very well known in the longevity community. So, for example, David Sinclair is obviously a well-respected researcher from Harvard. So eventually he launched a podcast and he talked about the science of looking younger for longer, and then OneSkin was in that podcast. So we also got connected with Peter Diamandis, that's also a longevity enthusiast, and then he wrote a book with Tony Robbins, and they mentioned us in their book. So we are very happy that people that are into longevity, that are into science, and very like disruptive, technologies, are getting to know about OneSkin, and they are the main ones that are really like spreading the word about OneSkin. Obviously, we do our marketing and we do everything that we can do to amplify, our reach.
Yeah.
But all the main, I would say, boost to our growth came from those organic like mentions.
Yeah.
And that's where we want to be. We don't want to be when only beauty has been, it's been discussed. We want to be when longevity is being discussed, and we want to be the company that's treating your skin from, that longevity angle.
That's a great answer. I appreciate that. And I think that's, I think that just the angle you're taking with calling it skin health and science in that way, I've never heard people talk about it that way. I mean, that's how you differentiate from all these beauty brands, even if, I can't imagine, because like you said, there must be some brands out there who are putting a lot of backing in their science, I would imagine. But they're still, they consider themselves a beauty brand, right? Not a skin health brand or a biotech brand. Like, who would you say, I'm curious, who would be like in line with what you guys do? Like, I can't think of them, but I don't know.
Yeah, because we are so into this longevity community, we know that, okay, there are many people focusing on supplements. There are many people focusing on like diagnostics. So if you want to measure your, your
glucose level.
Or if you want to measure even your biological
age, sleep. We correlate ourselves more with this type of company that are related to wellness.
So you're more like a wellness company, which is, by the way, how I got to you, right? Versus a beauty company, because I know nothing about that's not what my space is, the beauty world. But you're right. Like, if you're going to be like monitoring someone's sleep, their recovery, their glucose, their skin, like, it's in that bundle that you are.
Exactly. Yeah. And also trying to simplify that skincare routine. So
smart.
It doesn't need to have like 10 steps. It can be very lean and effective and contain like the main ingredients that are targeting the right the right process in the case of, skin aging,
You know what I find interesting? I don't think you guys have a sunscreen, which I find is coming up. Okay, thank God. I'm like, how can you call yourself a skin health company and not have a sunscreen?
To develop a sunscreen, it's FDA regulated. It takes longer.
Okay.
So that's why it's... let's say from our essential line of skin products, it's the last one to be launched, but it's coming up.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense to me. Okay, I love it. Thank you, Gar. By the way, like I said, I'm a fan of your product. I use it, as you can tell. I have a half a bottle of this stuff. I like it. Also feels, like I said, it feels simple. Yeah. Which for me is what I like. There's no heavy cookie fragrances. It's just plain and. I like this OS1 thing. I think you're onto something, girls. I think you're gonna have a brand. Can you tell people where they can find it, how they can buy it? it's a subscription-based brand too, right?
You can buy either like one time or subscribe.
Oh, you can buy one time.
Yeah,
okay.
you do have a discount when you subscribe, and we recommend using the product at least like for 3 months to see the results. All the clinical studies we show significant improvement after 6 weeks, but it gets better with like 12 weeks and with continuous use. So you can choose, but usually we recommend subscription to make sure that we are consistent. Consistency is key to see results.
I love it. Okay,
Yeah.
well, thanks.
And you can find us on our website, oneskin.co, and also follow
on Instagram.
us on Instagram, also at oneskin.co. And subscribe to our newsletters. We love sharing like
I have it. It's good. You got a good newsletter.
Right?
You got a good one. Yeah.
We share like a lot of tips about skin health, longevity. We share a lot of the data that we generate in our lab. So it's a really good way for the people out there to see the behind the scenes at OneSkin.
Absolutely, it is. It's actually a great newsletter, a great product, and like I said, I really love the ingredient. Thank you so much, you guys, for being on here.
Thanks for having us.
This was awesome.
Amazing. Okay, bye.